What's up, guys? Welcome to another video here on the YouTube channel. Connor is once again. It is match day. A bit of a late one, but better late than ever. It is a preview to the Westham Burnley game this evening up at Turf Moor, live on Sky Sports tonight. And as I said, live on Sky Sports tonight. Sky Sports, the media, everyone, they want us to fail. It's a huge game, and in general, you look at a Westham Burnley game, people have no interest in that. You look at now in the importance of it after most people playing around this weekend, and everyone will be laughing at us if we turn up and bottle it again tonight. Okay, Newcastle we don't get on great with, but regardless, we should be beating them. Chelsea, a bit better of a show, especially in the second half, but just lack the cutting edge. And again, the odd one or two, especially for the goal, an individual error that cost us that we need again to take out of our game. A lot of it depends tonight on how we, I suppose, set up. Whether we go 5 and 4 at the back. There's so many. I'll move on to the second, the injuries. Watch, hopefully the Rice and/or Antonio and the boys with Creswell, Masuaku, all of them back would be huge. But I noticed in the last few weeks, and it's a thing when we've gone 5-2-3, 5 at the back for us only works. I've said it many times. When we actually have the players that will fill in that system, there's no point putting Johnson in left wing back instead of Masuaku when it's a completely different side of player that won't fit in it. It's just, you might as well not play the formation because it won't work. Now I'm hearing tonight Creswell should be back. Masuaku will probably be 50-50. Rice, I'm hearing, is trying to get back, but we don't want to rush him. And then Antonio is also 50-50, which is very interesting, to be fair. If you in Dawson as well, we'll run into I suppose injuries now really quickly. We know Dawson and Balbuena are back from their suspensions. Of course, Dawson was out for the game after his red card against Newcastle. Balbuena overturned red card against Chelsea. Please, West Ham, red card, regardless of whether they're being on purpose or not against Burnley tonight. Because we know Burnley are a physical, strong team that will cause a lot of problems. They're a dirty team at times, and they try and provoke the opponents and make it hard for them as possible. It is going to be a tough game, of course. In terms of everyone else, I think we're okay. Noble, actually, that's the other big one. Now, he could be out for midfield. That is a huge, I suppose, loss, especially if Rice isn't fit. Now, I think Rice will be back, if not for this game, the Everton game next weekend, which will be huge, even a bigger game than this will be. But regardless, we need to get into that Everton game in a good situation. And, more people have comments saying he sees this game as a 6-pointer. Sorry, the Everton game is a 6-pointer, more bigger. But the Everton game is, it's still a 6-pointer. But the Everton game is only big if we go into it in a good situation. If we want the Everton game looking for 3 points, you can't do that, because then if we lose, we're screwed. We got to take every single game as that cup final right now. In terms of, I said, of all the injuries and losses we could have this evening, what's the bigger ones for us? I would say the bigger one for us is Antonio. I'd even say it more than Declan Rice. Obviously, the midfield battle will be key this evening as usual, and I see with Souček, he doesn't allow to get forward, I said recently, without Rice. However, I feel with Antonio, and we saw him getting the winner against Burnley earlier on in the season, he just gives the Burnley, we're going to have to give someone like a top physical striker to battle that Burnley defence this evening. And Bowen just isn't it. It's not going to suit him, the counter-attack runs against the Burnley side. We need Antonio to hold the ball up this evening and allow the attackers then to flourish, like Benrahma, like Lingard to get in the ball and all that. Because every time we get forward, we're going to have to be clinical. I got to remember that. And I think Antonio would be our biggest loss this evening out of everyone out there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Burnley's threats, what they play did they play, as I said, a very 4-4-2 flat. They're like a bit Leeds, but more defensive and predictable, boring sort of team. They like to play in the 4-4-2 flat. They like to play long ball, cross ball into the box. A bit like Everton, just worse. But they have players in their day. It's 11v11 on the day. It's one game, and people can cause problems. We've seen this over time. We've got lucky. We've conceded a lot of goals recently. In and out players in their defence due to injuries, suspensions, COVID, all that sort of stuff. And we need to settle that again into a pivotal part towards the end of the season. We're in May now. We've got 4 or 5 games left after through the season. And if we want to get Europe, I reckon between the next few games, I'll come on to that running in a minute, but we're probably going to have to win about 2 wins in a draw or 3 wins at least out of the next 5 if we want to get at least top 7 or 6. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there in regards to that. Of course, West Ham 1 win in their last 5 Premier League games away from home, which is a really not great stat considering we've been doing all right recently. Of course, the last one came away to Wolves a good few weeks ago now. West Ham, of course, lost last week to Chelsea, lost to Newcastle, back-to-back defeats in all competitions for the first time this season under David Moyes, although it's the second time they've been beaten in back-to-back Premier League games this season, but only the first since the start of the season, again against Newcastle and Arsenal. Also, West Ham, we've conceded 3 goals. We've conceded 3 goals or more in 4 of our last 5 Premier League games. Last time was only 1-0 defeat, although we did fail to score against Chelsea, which is the first time we failed to score against a team, I would think, since Manchester United back in February when we lost 1-0 there. And you know what the key thing about that is as well? We lost 1-0 there as well. Moyes went in with a game plan. He kept it tight. He tried to hit on the counter. But the problem is, if you haven't got the personnel to hit the counter, or if you're set up in such a wrong way, it's not even going to be, you're only saying that, you're not even going to believe in that. So you need to set up in the right way and not so defensive. If you look at their record against the top, another thing, West Ham, we've only lost against a team in the bottom half of the Premier League, traditionally anyway, only once this season. That was against Newcastle. And then other than that, we drew against Southampton, we drew against Palace, we drew against the likes of Fulham. We drew against Brighton. Few points in there that we've dropped that probably shouldn't have. Brighton and Palace game especially stand out. The Arsenal battle in the lead. We probably could have got something in the away game against Chelsea, even though we lost 3-0. There's a lot of situations this season where we probably could have got more. And we'll be looking to improve on that, to be fair, towards the end of the season. That's really it. It's a huge sort of tie. I don't think Burnley are missing too much this evening. Of course, they're on recent form. Good 4-0 win, away to Wolves and Molineux last weekend. And, they're not even a side that are associated with goals, which makes me think that, Wolves' defence obviously isn't as top standard as last few weeks. But then again, that just shows there's gaps for Burnley this evening if her defence isn't top standard. Normally Burnley score those headed goals, set-piece goals and all that. Some of their goals last week were just from open play and some stupid mistakes Wolves' defence doing. So we can't let that happen this evening. What would you do with Dawson? Would you throw him back in? Let me know in the comments down below as well. Balbuena, of course, didn't do that. He wasn't great last week, but he did okay for most of it. Would you throw him back in? Especially with him leaving towards the end of the season. If we go 5 at the back, would you throw Johnson back into the deep end? Or would you put Fredericks back in there with a solid game against Chelsea last weekend? Let me know down below as well. Antonio, if he's back, would you start him straight away? Same with Rice. And if you had a choice this evening, would Benrahma start? If so, where? Also, let me know down below. As I said, on to Burnley's threats. Of course, we got set pieces, and there's a few men we got to try and pick out this evening. One of the men is Dwight McNeil. It's the number 1. McNeil, of course, the English youngster. He's every time he's played us, especially a few years ago, and I think it was the 2-0 defeat on during New Year's or something. He was very good setting goal and assist and man of the match that day, and he swings a lot of the balls. It's one thing delivering the ball into the box, it's another thing actually getting the right cross and the right technique, and he does that. And even a few weeks ago, he scored against Everton in a 2-0 away win for them, and it's absolutely brilliant. Another stat, actually, Burnley as well haven't lost 8 or 9 Premier League games. It's home in a row for the first time. It would be since 1977, which would be a big fact, a big stat there if they were to do a side that's associated with good home games. Dwight McNeil is a man we have to watch. I think he's one of our biggest threats. The other man is Chris Wood. Loves scoring a goal against us, as so does Ashley Barnes. And the next man I've been looking at actually recently is James Brownhill. Brownhill is a youngster for Burnley. He's breaked out this season, like Declan Rice was a few years ago. And he's not saying he's as good as Declan Rice, but he has huge potential, and we've been looking at him as well. And he's a bit of fresh energy, and he bosses the midfield from time to time. Good partnership in there with a few who he plays with, and it's going to be a really interesting battle in there in the midfield this evening, especially with potentially without Noble and Rice. So that is some of the Burnley threats this evening. We've got to watch, of course, the 2 centre-halves back there as well of me and Tarkowski. I think Nick Pope's back in goals, which is a real key threat. Tall goalkeeper, one of the goalkeepers of the season this year, potentially England's number 1 now. It's a lot to to look on that. We can get those full. I think it's what they got. Is it Taylor or Peters they've got back there, and Matty Lowton? I think they're nothing special. Goodmanson, Brady, all of them in the wings, nothing special either. And we edged them on pace as well at the side. So a really interesting battle there as well. Predicted lineups, we're going to go into that next really quickly. In terms of predicted lineups this evening, I'm going to go as usual. I think I should go with a mix with realism, but I also going to go with what Moyes is going to go, I think, with. Starting with my lineup this evening, we have to go forward to back. I don't care if it's Masuaku and Creswell back. I don't care if it suits us. Forward to back. I'm not going 5 at the back against Burnley. It's embarrassing if we do. Forward to back would be Fabianski, of course, and goals. Left back, I'm going to say Masuaku doesn't play. Regardless, actually, I probably would go Creswell anyway. But yeah, Creswell left back. Right back, we'd go with Kufal as usual. 2 centre backs, I would throw Dawson and Ogbonna. I think they've been a really comfortable partnership before Ogbonna got injured back in February was it? And Dawson, I think he's learned, and if he hasn't, then we take him out again. He'll suit the Burnley area threat really good, and he played well against them in January when we beat them 1-0 at home. 2 midfielders, I would go with. It's an interesting one, really. I'd probably go with Fornals and Rice. If Nobel is injured, sorry, not Fornals, Rice, Fornals and Soucek. Rice, I wouldn't throw him in straight away, especially with the Everton game of the weekend. But if we maybe give him 20-30 minutes or so in the second half, especially if we need to, I just think we can go one more game without him. But yeah, we'll see how things go there. I didn't think he needs minutes though. Left mid, of course, we'd go with I think Lingard. Right side, we'd go with Bowen. Cam, I would go with who would the Cam? I'd go with what's his name? Ben Rama, and I probably would throw Antonio up top. I think Ben Rama can support Antonio well. Yes, it's a risk. If Antonio didn't start, I would throw up Yarmolenko. I know our fans, we know what to think about him, but he's another player similar to Antonio that can hold up the play well and boss their defenders. And he could be leaving it in the season too. So I think you give him a chance, see what happens, and either bring off Antonio maybe after half time, or bring on Antonio maybe last 20-30 minutes or like then right potentially if he returns. Not all depends on all, I suppose. In terms of the what Moyes will do, I think Moyes will stick with the back 5. Unfortunately, I think he's going to go off with Fabianski in goals. I think left wing back he's going to go with Creswell. I think he's going to go with Fredericks left wing back. 3 centre backs, Creswell. I think he's going to go with Balbuena. No, Creswell, Diop, and Ogbonna. I think that's who he's going to go with. And then right wing back, he's going to go with, of course, Kufal. Into the 2 midfield, I think he's going to go, obviously, of course, with and yeah, I think he will go with Fornals and Soucek, and then out the wings, Ben Rama he's going to go with. 5, 2, 3. Then on the other side, I think he's going to go with Bowen, and striker I think is going to go Yarmolenko, unless I'm missing someone there. No, sorry, Lingard, and then Bowen up top. But anyway, all in all, it's a huge game, and we need to go as tackling as we can, but be careful of those key threats, set pieces, balls into the box, can't let them cross into the box. And if we do take a goal or 2 lead, we can't bottle it, we can't be vulnerable, we can't show any signs of it, we just got to play to the 90 and learn to see out games if we can. I suppose on that running really quickly before we go from this little pre-match preview, I think the running is going to be huge. We got this game, now we'll get Stephen away to Burnley, got Everton at home next Sunday. Huge game. If we can get at least 4 points or more for the next 2 games, I think that'll get at least top 7 secured with 3, especially Everton's running. In terms of everything else, then we got Brighton away the following Saturday, then West Brom away midweek the following week, and then final game of the season home Southampton. Hopefully fans back for that as well. It could be a huge boost for us. All in all, it's a huge game. As I said, I think this is a big point to see if we can get anything out of this. it goes in with less pressure to the Everton game and they're confident. We can't seem to have lost our momentum a bit. We need to keep going, push on, and believe that we can get still top four, but obviously top seven is the hope. Any sort of Europe will do is a big game. Indeed. And as we move on to final thoughts, I think predictions, I'm going to go with a 2-1 West Ham win. I said 1-1 initially, attacking and go the right way about it. I think we'll bounce back to win 2-1. I'll be positive for once. I think, funny feeling Yarmolenko will come on and score this evening, or if he doesn't, he'll start and score. I have an awful feeling. And I think I think Lingard will score again. If not, Yarmolenko will be Bowen and Lingard, by the way, and if he doesn't play. And then for Burnley, I think Takahashi will score a header assisted by Dwight McNeil. But yeah, I think overall it's a big game. It's not a defining point probably for Champions League. If we weren't to win, at least if we weren't to at least draw, I think we'd be in huge trouble for that. In terms of Europe, I think it's not the final straw, because if we were to lose or draw this evening, once we get something off Everton, we're still in with a chance. But it'd be a big, big win if we were to get something this evening. But all in all, a big game. Hope you enjoy it. And we'll be live watch long, kick off at 8. So we'll live watch long about 70 or so. Until then, see you next time, guys. And I'm out. Peace. Take care. Oh yeah, one thing I have to say. Come on, you Irons.